Hey there, coin enthusiasts! Welcome back to the channel. If you're a collector or just someone who loves to learn about coins, you've come to the right place. Today, we're diving into the value of a unique piece from U.S. coinage history, the 1977 half-quarter dollar. What's its current value? Is it worth anything more than its face value? And what makes this coin special? Let's break it all down. First off, let's clear up any confusion. The coin we're talking about is the 1977 U.S. quarter, not the half dollar. Now, I know some of you might have heard the term half-quarter dollar before, but that's not an official denomination. The 1977 quarter, however, is an interesting coin, and its value can vary based on condition and rarity. Let's explore this in more detail. The 1977 quarter was minted as part of the regular coinage production in the United States. It features the iconic design by John Flanagan, George Washington's portrait on the obverse, and an eagle on the reverse, holding all of the arrows in the corners and the olive branch. But the question on your mind is probably, how much is this coin worth today? Let's start with the basics. For most quarters, their face value is 25 cents. The 1977 quarter is no different. In circulated condition, you'll typically find it being worth just that, 25 cents. But that's not the full story. Let's dig deeper. The value of a 1977 quarter, just like any coin, depends largely on its grade or condition. Coins are graded on a scale from good to min state, with several grades in between. A coin in good condition will show a lot of wear, while a coin in mid-state condition will look almost brand new. A 1977 quarter in good condition might still be worth around its face value or just slightly more, say 30 to 50 cents. But if it's in better condition, such as fine or very fine, you could see values rising to around $1 to $2. So, what about coins that are in uncirculated condition? Well, that's where things get interesting. An uncirculated 1977 quarter dollar could be used in circulation and retains all its original detail. Could be worth upwards of $5 or more. For these high-quality examples, collectors are willing to pay a premium, especially if the coin has been well preserved in a coin holder or a safe environment. Now, you might be wondering, are there any rare 1977 quarters out there that could be worth more? Itself, most quarters from this year were minted in high numbers, so it's not considered scarce by itself. In fact, the total mintage of the 1977 quarter is well over 800 million coins across both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. That's a pretty high number, so unless your coin has a unique minting error or is in an exceptional state, it won't be fetching huge amounts at an auction or coin show. There are certain characteristics that can increase the value of a 1977 quarter. If your coin has a rare minting error, such as a die crack, off-center strike, or any other anomaly, it could be worth significantly more than its face value. These errors are much rarer and highly sought after by collectors. If you come across one of these, make sure to get it appraised. Now, while the 1977 coin might not be the rarest or most valuable coin out there, it still holds an important place in the history of U.S. coinage. The quarter has been in circulation for over 200 years, and even a common 1977 example could be a cherished addition to your collection, especially if you've got an eye for quality. To recap, the circulated value of a 1977 quarter is typically just 25 cents, but it can be worth more depending on its condition. Uncirculated examples can fetch $5 or more, and coins with unique minting errors might be worth a lot more. If you think you have a rare or error coin, it's definitely worth having it graded. That's it for today's video. I hope you learned something new about the 1977 quarter and how its value can fluctuate based on condition and rarity. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a coin video. And hey, do you have any 1977 quarters? Let us know in the comments below. What condition are they in, and have you noticed anything unique about them? The 1984 U.S. half-quarter dollar. While many of you might be familiar with the standard quarters and half dollars, this coin is a unique and somewhat rare piece in circulation history. So, grab your magnifying glass, because we're going to uncover the history, the significance, and everything that makes the 1984 half-quarter dollar an interesting part of U.S. coinage. Let's get started. First, let's clarify something before we jump into the history. When we talk about a half-quarter dollar, we're referring to a specific misstruck coin that was produced in 1984, not a standard issue. So don't be confused when you hear this term, as it's a rarity due to a minting error. The story of the 1984 half-quarter dollar begins with a small yet significant mistake in the minting process. Typically, a quarter is worth 25 cents, and a half dollar is worth 50 cents. But in 1984, the U.S. Mint accidentally produced a few coins that were struck with the design of a quarter, but they had the size and weight of a half dollar. This created what we now know as the half-quarter dollar, a half-quarter dollar piece of U.S. currency. To understand how this mishap happened, we need to take a look at the minting process in 1984. The U.S. Mint has a large-scale operation that produces millions of coins each year. In 1984, there were two key coins in production: the quarter, which featured the Washington design, and the minting power, which featured the design of John F. Kennedy. During the minting process, coins are fed into machines that press designs into metal blanks. Each blank is cut into the right size for the intended coin. However, during this time, a few blank coins intended for half dollars were mistakenly fed into the quarter die presses. As a result, they were struck with the design of a quarter, but the larger, thicker size of a half dollar. This error wasn't caught right away, and as a result, these coins were released into circulation. Imagine walking into a store in 1984 and finding a coin that's technically a quarter, but way too big for its value. That's how the 1984 half-quarter dollar came into being. While these misstruck coins were in circulation for a short time, most were quickly taken out of circulation once the mistake was discovered. The U.S. Mint eventually issued a recall for these misstruck coins, but some managed to stay in circulation, becoming rarities today. Period. By the time collectors and the public realized what had happened, most of the coins had already been pulled from circulation. But lucky collectors managed to find some of these rare coins, and today they are highly sought after by numismatists. So what makes these coins so special? Well, it's their dual nature. They have the size and weight of a half dollar, but the design of a quarter. As a result, they hold a special place in the world of coin collecting. They are considered an error coin, and error coins are often highly prized by collectors because they represent a unique moment in history. Let's talk about the value of the 1984 half-quarter dollar. As with most error coins, the value can vary based on its condition and the collector's interest. Uncirculated coins, which have little to no wear, are the most valuable. These coins can fetch several $100s depending on their condition and rarity. Coins that have been well worn from circulation tend to be worth less, but still hold a significant value compared to a standard 1984 quarter or half dollar. For those looking to add one to their collection, you should expect to pay a premium. Prices can range anywhere from $50 for a well-worn example to $200 or more for a mint-condition coin. Keep in mind that these values can fluctuate over time, especially as more collectors discover these coins. Although the 1984 half-quarter dollar is no longer circulating today, its legacy lives on as one of the most iconic minting errors in U.S. history. It serves as a reminder that even the U.S. Mint, with its careful processes, can make mistakes. Minting errors have long been a fascinating part of numismatic history, and coins like the 1984 half-quarter dollar highlight the importance of paying attention to the details. Collectors cherish these types of coins because they represent a small piece of history, a moment when something unexpected occurred during the production of U.S. currency. So while the 1984 half-quarter dollar may not have had a long life in circulation, it's a coin that stands out in the world of U.S. coinage. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Have you ever come across a 1984 half-quarter dollar in your pocket change? Or maybe you've spotted one in a coin shop? Let me know in the comments below if you've seen or collected this rare. In today's video, we're diving deep into the fascinating history of the 1965 U.S. half-dollar coin. You might have one of these sitting in your coin jar right now, but do you know the full story behind it? Stick around because this coin has a rich history, an interesting design evolution, and a major place in American numismatic history. So, let's jump right in. Before we talk about the 1965 half-dollar, let's take a quick look at its predecessors. From 1836 to 1964, the U.S. half-dollar featured different designs, but most notably, the Liberty walking design was a mainstay on the obverse, created by Adolph A. Weinman in 1916. It was beautiful, artistic, and widely loved. On the reverse, the coin featured a rendition of the Liberty Bell, an iconic symbol of American independence. Wow! In the mid-1960s, America was facing a significant economic situation. The country was in the midst of a silver crisis, and the rising costs of silver were making it more expensive for the U.S. Mint to produce coins. In fact, silver prices were on the rise, and that meant it was becoming less cost-efficient to use silver in coins like the half-dollar, which had been minted with 90% silver up until 1964. So, in 1965, the U.S. government made a bold decision. They eliminated silver from the half-dollar and other coins. The new 1965 half-dollar was minted with a composition of 40% silver and 60% copper. But this was just the beginning. The real game changer was that the half-dollar would no longer feature the Liberty Bell design. Enter President John F. Kennedy. Following the assassination of JFK in 1963, there was widespread public desire to honor his legacy. In 1964, the U.S. Mint unveiled a new design for the half-dollar, the Kennedy half-dollar. Designed by Gilroy Roberts and Frank Gasparro, it featured a portrait of President Kennedy on the obverse, facing left, with the inscription "Liberty in God We Trust" and 1964. Although the original plan was to mint the Kennedy half-dollar with 90% silver, just like its predecessors, the U.S. government quickly transitioned to the new 40% silver composition, starting in 1965, as we mentioned earlier. This was the year of significant transition. The reverse side of the coin still depicted the traditional heraldic eagle, but the design now had more modern elements. Compared to the Liberty Bell, how did the 1965 half-dollar fare in terms of circulation? Well, the coin was a massive.
The 1983 half-quarter dollar. You may be asking yourself, what is a half-quarter dollar? It's an important piece of U.S. numismatic history, but it's not as commonly known. Let's take a look at its origins, circulation, and the role it played in the U.S. economy. The 1983 half-quarter dollar, a coin that never existed in the traditional sense, has a unique place in the numismatic world. However, many might mistake the term half-quarter dollar for a regular coin issued by the U.S. Mint, but in truth, it's a combination of two coin denominations, the half-dollar and the quarter dollar, which often leads to confusion among collectors. In 1983, the U.S. Mint produced two iconic coins, the quarter dollar and the half-dollar. These coins have a storied past, with deep historical significance. So, what about the idea of a half-quarter dollar? Well, it's a fun name, but it never existed officially as a coin. The 1983 half-quarter dollar, in fact, is not a real, officially issued coin. It's a concept, a coin that many collectors and enthusiasts might talk about in forums or blogs, but it's not something the Mint actually struck. In the early 1980s, the U.S. Mint was focused on modernizing its coinage. The 1983 quarter, which was issued in a number of varieties, marked a significant year for U.S. coins. This period was also crucial because it was during the early 1980s that coinage was undergoing changes. The shift towards using copper-nickel-clad coins instead of pure silver began in the late 1960s, and by 1983, the mint had fully embraced these new materials. Let's start with the 1983 quarter dollar. This coin featured the familiar design of George Washington on the obverse, facing left. The reverse depicted an eagle in a simple, classic design. The 1983 quarter was a key part of the ongoing U.S. circulation, and with millions of these coins produced, it was widely circulated across the nation. In fact, by 1983, the U.S. Mint was producing millions. U.S. Mint does not produce coins for collectors directly. Instead, they create coins in large quantities for the general public, and collectors seek out those pieces based on their unique features, such as mint marks, errors, or design variations. The half-dollar coin of 1983 was also of great interest to collectors. Like the quarter, it featured a familiar design, with John F. Kennedy on the obverse and the presidential seal on the reverse. In 1983, the Kennedy half-dollar was still being minted primarily for collectors and not for general circulation. As time went on, interest in the half-dollar coin declined, and the coin was used less and less in everyday transactions. This shift in coinage usage during the early 80s reflects the growing influence of paper money in the U.S. economy. By 1983, most people were using smaller denominations for their day-to-day purchases, making the half-dollar and even the quarter less common in their wallets. The rise of debit cards, checks, and later credit cards further reduced the need for coinage, particularly the larger denominations. However, coin collectors were still fascinated by the coins from this era, including those from 1983. The uniqueness of certain errors or variations, especially those found in mint marks, can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a highly sought-after collectible. For example, while the 1983 quarter dollar didn't have major design changes from previous years, the process of minting, combined with the sheer volume of coins produced, led to occasional errors. Collectors often sought out coins with these minting mistakes, such as double strikes or misaligned dies. These error coins could make their way to the market as rarities, sometimes selling for far more than their face value. Though the half-quarter dollar as a coin doesn't technically exist, it serves as a reminder of how modern coins have evolved. The confusion surrounding the half-quarter dollar name reflects the larger conversation about half-dollar. These coins were part of everyday life for Americans in the 80s, even as their use started to diminish in favor of more convenient forms of payment. For modern collectors, the 1983 quarter dollar and half-dollar have become pieces of history to seek out. While these coins may not be as valuable as other rare U.S. coins, they remain an important part of the nation's economic history. It's worth noting that in 1983, the U.S. government made some significant moves toward increasing the efficiency of coin production. And while the 1983 half-quarter dollar didn't officially exist, the idea of a half coin circulating alongside other denominations is an interesting thought for collectors and historians alike. So the next time you come across a 1983 quarter or half-dollar, remember, you're holding a piece of history. It may not be the mythical half-quarter dollar, but it's still part of a legacy of coinage that tells the story of America. If you're a coin collector or just a fan of American history, this is a chapter worth exploring. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.